All right, welcome to another edition of Bear Down with Brian Jeffries. That would be me, and our guest this week is Adia Barnes, head women's basketball coach at the University of Arizona. Wildcats coming off a wonderful season. They were 24-7 when unfortunately it ended earlier than anyone had hoped. Great year in the Pac-12, won 13 home games, went 10-3 on the road this year. The accolades, the honors, the list is endless. And I know Adia, it was a tough way to end. Your team was here in Tucson knowing that the NCAA tournament was going to invite you very soon. You could be a host and so on. So reading some of your social media posts, I know it was a difficult message to pass along to your team that their season would come to an end. But how is everybody? You've kept in touch with the players and everybody doing well right now?
Yeah, everybody's great. I think, like you said, it was one of the hardest moments. It was probably the hardest moment as a head coach to have to walk into practice. We were actually on our way to practice when we heard the news that everything was canceled. It was one of the hardest things I had to tell my team because we worked so hard. They did everything I asked. We put ourselves in a phenomenal position. I mean, to be a 3 seed and most likely, and to be hosting the first 2 rounds was just something that we have only dreamt of accomplishing. So that was hard. It was pretty devastating. And it didn't sink in for a few weeks because it was a couple weeks away from Selection Monday. We still had a little celebration on that Monday, but the celebration was bittersweet. But then, it's like, what are you going to do? This is a world situation and no one ever would have dreamed this could happen in America. So everybody's safe now. Everybody's good. I think for athletes, it's just a transition. They're not able to practice, and it's just changed kind of all of our worlds.
All right, well, let's go back and look at the season. I mentioned 24-7, one of the best seasons in school history. You had an outstanding point guard. I mean, you had an outstanding team from top to bottom. When you look back, and you've been involved in basketball for a long time now, was there a single key to success for this team this past season?
I think what gave us momentum was winning the NIT. I think that made us have a little taste of success. And then from then on, I think the confidence level and the standards were a lot higher. And then players like Ari and Kate came back better, more hungry. Sam came back stronger, Dominique. And so I think that they raised the bar, and we weren't trying to go to another WNIT. It wasn't going to be good enough. And we weren't trying to just go to a tournament. Our goal was to go to the Sweet 16 at least. So I think that they kind of set that bar. And then we had a really tough opening Pac-12 schedule. We won some games early, and then we realized, kind of looked at each other like, okay, we can be pretty good. But I didn't really know how good we could be. I think that no one would have imagined that we'd be, ranked at the end of the season number 12. I mean, I wouldn't have even thought that. I thought maybe top 20, but I think we just kept on winning some big games on the road and then just got more confident.
Anybody that watches your practice knows how much emphasis you put on defense, and it certainly showed statistically. The Wildcats led the Pac-12 in steals, led the Pac-12 in scoring defense. How do you teach that? Because so many players, when they come from high school, it's all about scoring. And when they get to the college level, you almost sometimes have to teach them defense. How were you able to teach this team to defend the way it did?
Well, I think looking back when I first started at Arizona, we didn't have the talent. And even last year in the NIT run, we didn't have the talent to just stay in the half court and like beat a Stanford, Oregon State, because we just weren't as big. We weren't as efficient offensively. So I thought, well, how are some ways we're going to play faster and manufacture more points? So then in the whole offseason, I said, well, we need to be more aggressive defensively because we need to find other ways to score. And then I wasn't sure how good we can be defensively because we really don't have the personnel besides Ari and a couple other players and Sam. We don't really have a defensive personnel and like freak athletes at every position. But I think we did a really good job of organizing our defense. They bought in, and then it became contagious. And then they took pride in the defense. And then I think sometimes it even surprised me of how well our rotations were. But we did emphasize it, but they bought into it and really owned it. And, I'm telling you, next year will be a lot better defensively because we're bringing in 3 more really good athletes. So I'm just excited for the future. Now we have the foundation. So just building on it, I think it's going to be fun. But I also don't want to only be one of those defensive teams where you're not good on offense. I thought we even got better offensively. Obviously, the better players help you run better offense. But I think it was a fun style. It's fun to get steals and go run in transition. It's fun to get up and down. So I think that our style, everybody really embraced and loved.
Scary news for the rest of the Pac-12, by
Yeah,
the way.
I know. Let me knock on wood. We gotta stay healthy. The expectations are high. We're no longer hunting. We're the hunted. So
That's
it's a little
okay. That's
different.
okay. So, Erin McDonald was the leader of your team. There was no doubt about that. She at least toyed with the idea of maybe going pro. Can you take us through any of that period of time? And of course, the great news for Wildcat fans is she's going to come back, but she had some time to think about it there. What went into her decision?
Well, I think I just totally left that decision up to her. I think there was a lot of factors. I think if we would have gone deep into the tournament, had a successful year, COVID wouldn't have happened. I think there was no doubt she would have gone to play pro because she was getting her degree and, she wants to go play. I think things changed. She got injured. She had a stress reaction at the end of the year. She was limited. So she wasn't playing like Aria the last probably 2 months. And so I think that kind of slowed things down because you don't want to go into your first pro season injured. And then all of this happened. So I think that played a role. I don't think it was the only determining thing, but I think it really played a role in her decision. And I think she made the best decision. Right now, there's uncertainty. We don't know if the WNBA is going to happen. We don't know. The European market's destroyed right now because of the economics. There's no money in Europe right now. So I think for her, if she comes back, she has a lot to prove. She's hungry. She wants to win a championship. So prove it. Be one of the best players in women's basketball in college, the best player in the Pac-12. She'll be up for every award, help her team win, get a master's degree, and then go play pro. I don't know of a better situation. I think it's the perfect situation for her. And a year to get better and improve her game. She's got to get better at little things, but you have another year to do that. There's no rush. You can play pro 10 more years.
Very exciting. Very exciting. Okay, so you mentioned you got some new players coming in, and with the profile of the program on the upswing, I'm not saying recruiting's getting easier, but your name, the Wildcats name, is out there now, and young players now are drawn and they're interested in becoming a Wildcat. Tell us about your new recruits coming in next season.
So a lot of really good new players. In the preseason poll, the ESPN preseason, it's a way too early poll. We were number 7, and we were number 7 before this edition. I think we would have been ranked a little higher if it would have been after one of our commitments. So I was really, really excited because I felt like losing Dominique. It's not by numbers, but it's all the small things she does. She makes our offense flow. She's one of our smartest players. So losing her at the 4 was huge. So went after, we had a need for a post player. Went after this post player, Trinity Baptist, and she's great. She's got like really good size inside. She's strong. She's versatile. She shoots the 3 in over 40%. I mean, she's a really fierce rebounder. So adding her, we get a lot better inside. And so I was really, really excited about her. So she'll only be there for 1 year, eligible right away because she's a 5th year. And then we have a transfer named Bendu, who was transferred from Indiana. I recruited her on the first time around, but she chose us the second time. So we don't know what the transfer rule is yet. She might have to sit out, or if it passes, she can play right away. So she's someone I'm really excited about. She's a really good athlete, great culture kid, and she'll help us on the perimeter a lot. And then you remember who sat out last year, who's going to play this year, Shayna. She was here last year, but she's going to be eligible. She's going to help us a lot. I think the best thing for Ari was going against Shayna every day in practice. And then the other newbies, we have Marta Garcia from Spain. She's a 6'3" post player, finishes really well inside. Give us another post presence. She'll be a freshman. And then we have Darren, who's from Turkey. She's a really fierce, like just strong guard, not afraid, can score, really high basketball IQ, strong, good size. And I think she's going to help us on the perimeter. She can play the 2, she can play the 1. And then, we have Lauren Ware. Lauren Ware is someone I recruited for a few years. She's a 5-star kid, could have gone anywhere in the country. And she's going to be the player that's going to play both sports. She's going to play volleyball and basketball. So Dave's equally excited. And the thing is, good and bad, she's as impactful in volleyball as she is in basketball. So for both of us, she can be like an All-American one day. So, it's going to be interesting to see how she balances both sports because a lot of players can't do that nowadays. But she's 6'5". She's got great hands, great timing, which I think volleyball, her being an elite volleyball player really helps her basketball. And she's going to be a very, very good player. And I think she'll be a star in the Pac-12.
All right, certainly look forward to that. Well, people are working from home like yourself now. For those that don't know, and I think everybody does, your husband is a coach on your staff. You have a young son at home now. Now, normally you two are either at practice or out recruiting, you're on the road. How has young son taken to having mom and dad around every day?
I think he's really happy. He always says, I said something, I'm ready to go back to work. I made a comment on the phone because it's like my job, he's got a little bit more complicated now. Just because we have a lot of Zoom calls and we're like busy all day. But when you have a child here, it's hard because he's 4 years old. So he's into everything. So he waits till I get on a Zoom call, then he wants to climb on my head. And, you know, but I think it is hard because a lot of Zoom calls require both of us. And so it's challenging. I think for moms that are home working, it's a challenge because we're not allowing a babysitter to come in. We're not allowing us, we're not going near anybody. So we are practicing social distancing, staying at home, but it's a challenge working because I literally have 5 Zoom calls a day and we're recruiting more than ever. And it's changed. This situation in the world has changed recruiting tremendously. It's forced a lot more kids into the portal. And so by all these transfers in the portal, it's really sped up our 21 class because now kids are competing against transfers in the portal. So they're changing their timeline. Usually they would take visits in the fall. There was probably 10 in the last 14 days of top level kids that have committed. So if you don't do the Zoom calls, you're behind. Instead of visits, you're doing Zoom calls. So it's been we're working 8-10 hours a day right now. So it's just changed the way we're working. It's a little bit more challenging, but for us, it hasn't slowed down. I know for men's basketball, it's the same, and just sports because we're recruiting and you have time to make phone calls.
Okay, so when you squeeze some time in there away from the Zoom calls, what are you guys doing for fun around the house?
Yeah, so what we do is I have a Zoom call, I'll space them out a little bit. So after this Zoom call, we'll go on a 40-minute bike ride
Okay.
and I'll come back and then we'll do he'll color because we don't let him watch a lot of TV during the day. So he'll color, we'll go on a little scavenger hunt. So I'll kind of take him in between Zoom calls. So when I heard at first, I didn't think this was on camera. I was going to literally be back from a bike ride sweating. And then I jump on a Zoom call. And then that's why a lot of times my face isn't on a Zoom call. But yeah, it's been okay. And for us, I'm not one of those people that I'm okay with being at home and spending time with my family because I never have it. I'm usually working 80 hours a week and I don't see my child. So this has been really good quality time for our family. And I think it's going to just reset a lot of things.
Yeah, great words there. All right, let's leave the fans with this. You have one of the great fan bases in women's college basketball in the country. They miss being able to watch those NCAA games at McHale Center, but I know they can hardly wait for the next season to start, and I know you can hardly wait to see them again.
I'm so excited. We do have the best fans. I think even if, let's say, Oregon had better numbers, I think we have better fans. Okay. I think we have a more energetic, enthusiastic. When I see fans with little Samaj afros and signs, and it's just awesome. And it touches my heart. There's a whole bunch of fans, probably at least 50, that used to watch me play as a player. So that's always, and they have the same seats every game. It's always just really special to me. And just to see how far we've came along. When I came here, there was 500 fans per game. And to be second in attendance in the Pac-12, it's a huge turnaround. And I really think that next year, I think we'll be number 1. I think we'll beat Oregon, and hopefully COVID doesn't change all this because I know our fans want to be back in McHale, and they really help us win games. We wouldn't have been as successful if it wasn't for our fans.
Well, I tell you what, thanks, Adia. Congratulations on a great 4 years so far. We look forward to a bright future as well. Be safe, and we'll see you back together soon.
Thank you. Bear down.
All right. Adia Barnes, head women's basketball coach at the U of A. That's our Bear Down with Brian Jeffries for this week. We'll see you again soon.